Right, this is one of our quarantined licence pens. This has to be licensed from the government, and we've built this to quarantine beaver so they can be safe and secure for 6 months while they go through their quarantine. And we've got a beaver family in here that's actually out of quarantine, so I can go in there now. And these are our animals that are going to go onto ham fen. This is our spare family. They're all safe and snug there, and we'll get them out every now and again to see how they're doing. And I'll go and have a quick look now. The beaver is a natural British animal. The beavers have lived in Britain for many hundreds of thousands of years, and they went extinct in Britain probably about 400 years ago. The last beaver was killed up in Scotland. But across the whole of Britain, every single river, every little stream used to house a family of beavers, and they would make the habitat around that stream into a big wetland, and it would teem with wildlife. So beavers are a natural part of all of our ecosystems, and that's why we desperately need them back in Britain. Now, unfortunately, beavers were hunted to extinction, and they were hunted to extinction because of their fur, and also they have a castoreum gland, which has got a chemical just like aspirin, and people used to use that as a painkiller. So beavers were systematically hunted out of all of Britain, then throughout the whole of Europe about 100 years ago. And we started killing all the beavers in North America as well. But luckily, a few relic populations survived in Russia, in Norway, and a couple in Germany. And these have slowly been reintroduced across the whole of Europe. And Britain now stands as the last country in Europe for beavers to be reintroduced. Well, here we are in a beaver-created pond. This was dug out as a beaver home, but the beavers actually hollowed out this area, and once the beavers moved on into our other enclosure, we've allowed this to regrow naturally, and you can see the fantastic regrowth. These act as a giant sponge and stop the big flooding event, which saves human lives and can save hundreds of millions of pounds in flood defences. The other benefit of having all these lovely plants and ponds along riverbanks is they draw in water. That allows all of the pollutants in the water, things like nitrates and phosphates and pesticides that are being poured onto our farmland, that can all settle out, and it goes into the roots of our reeds and rushes, and the bacteria within that can break down these chemicals and store it, so the water that comes out and down our rivers is actually purified. So that clean water that then flows out of this system back into the rivers becomes safe for us to drink. So a number of water companies are looking into how beaver can save us again many millions of pounds in water purification and protect our children from the damaging effects that drinking water full of phosphates and nitrates possesses. The great thing about beaver, to a conservationist, is they chop down trees. Now you might think that's absolutely mad. A beaver chops down a tree. And you can see the beaver about 5 years ago chopped down this tree. You can actually still see the tooth marks where it carved through. But of course a beaver doesn't kill a tree. It is actually, the tree has evolved to be coppiced in a natural way. And all this regrowth is very important because lots of animals have come to evolve to live with this. Nightingales, for instance, need to have coppice this size, and certain other birds can only exist when you've got a tree structure like this. It also allows sunlight to get down to the ground, and we have various plants like the rare cow wheat regrow. There's certain types of orchid and other woodland flowers that can only regrow if we have this natural coppicing cycle happening. It also allows the growth, stops the clogging up of waterways. Now a beaver will come and excavate a water channel like this one going off into the woodland, and that rehydrates the woodland, so you get different tree species growing up and different plant species because it becomes much wetter than it normally would be. So our friend the beaver creates a coppicing cycle. It will coppice trees that don't like to be coppiced, but in their place will be plants like trees like aspen and willow and the birch here, and they'll be favoured, and that means you get a different structure to the woodland, which creates beautiful biodiversity. Lots of different insect, bird, animal species can evolve to live there. We've already seen at Ham Fen, where we've reintroduced the beavers, that water voles have come back there. So these little banks set in the woodland become a home to some of our most threatened mammals. Fantastic explosion of wildlife can come because of our beavers creating this very special habitat. We can now see into the beaver lodge, and what the beavers, one of the reasons they strip bark is you can actually see that this becomes a very dry, much drier than straw and plant matter, dries very quickly, so a beaver can come out of the water into its lodge and have a nice dry bedding, and this quickly dries. They also put an air vent up in the top of the lodge, so it's a very good system of warming up and drying out. The lodge is created of two chambers. You have a first chamber and a second chamber, and this is the maternal chamber where the female will rear young kits if she has any. So it's lovely and dry and warm in here, safe from the very cold outdoors. But lots of people get some strange ideas about beaver. There's all kinds of myths and legends. And beaver, of course, were allowed to be eaten on Fridays by Catholics because one of the popes said it was a fish, believe it or not. But a lot of people think beavers eat fish, and of course they don't. They're completely vegetarian. All they eat is a nice bit of food like cabbage here, carrots, and we feed them wood, which you get a lot of carbohydrate in the actual bark as it peels it off. So they eat only vegetable matter. The other thing that people think that beaver dams can stop salmon migrating up streams, and there's been a number of salmon fishers. Most notably, the famous cricketer Ian Botham has talked that he likes to fish salmon, and he's been worried that beaver will stop the fish migrating up the streams, and it's complete rubbish, because a salmon can quite happily get over a beaver dam. But beavers don't really build dams in rivers. They actually build dams out of the main river. Need not worry. If he explored the science, he'd find out that beavers would actually help us fishing and not hinder it. Beavers are a great thing for Britain. We need beavers back in our country, and there's 5 ways you can help make this happen. First and foremost, we need you to write to your MP and tell them beavers are great, they reduce flooding, help the taxpayer, they take away nasty pollutants in the rivers, and they bring back a wealth of wildlife. So write to your MP now. All their details are on the House of Commons website. If you go there, write a nice letter saying why you think beavers are great back into Britain. If we get enough politicians supporting this, they will then support the various applications that are going into the government now to allow beaver to be properly reintroduced across the length and breadth of our country. So that's the first way. The second way you can help us is by coming and visiting Wildwood, joining us as a member. That helps us. You can also donate money now. You should have a donate button somewhere on an email or around our little video here, where you can actually make a payment to our special beaver appeal and help us pay for all the hard work we do bringing beaver back into the country. It costs a lot of money to bring beaver back. We've got to go off into Europe, drive back with the animals. There's all kinds of vet bills. We've got to build quarantine facilities. This cost us 30,000 quid, so it's an expensive business. And we've got to prepare all the scientific work for the beaver reintroductions we've done. So we need lots of help in that way. Also, you can sponsor a beaver this Christmas, so that's the 4th way you can help. Why not buy a beaver sponsorship for one of your friends for this Christmas? And remember, beaver have got lots of Christmas messages. If we look at C.S. Lewis's Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe, it was Beaver that brought Father Christmas back to Narnia. And isn't that a nice little idea? But the most important thing you can do, the fifth way you can help us, is just tell all your friends that beavers are British. They don't hurt fish and other animals. They're just great for our countryside. Beavers belong back in Britain. Tell everybody you know, beavers, great idea, so people know that having beavers back in Britain is going to help us all. Thank you, and donate now.